You can make up for experience of closing a lot of deals for expertise in studying the markets. Your market matters so freaking much, and your buyers that you're prospecting for matter a ton. What I've seen big mistake wise is that one, people prospect in this small of a market, like in a really teeny tiny market. And they also only have, let's say, 2 or 3 buyers that are looking in that market. So what happens is that you prospect in this itty bitty market, which might only have, let's say, 100 industrial buildings total, and maybe 6 sell every year. And it's like, okay, or 2 to 6 sell, 2 to 6% is very common across the board, right? 1 to 6%, 2 to 6%. So it's like, okay, you have 100 properties in your market. 2 to 6 of them sell every year. Even if you were to get somebody on the phone who is interested in possibly selling, you only have 3 people to reach out to. And if none of those people want it, what are you doing? What I try to do is the following. One, I want to do market expansion. So I want you to be looking at Irvine as part of your market, not the entire market. What county are you in? Right, Orange County?
Yeah, Orange County.
I actually met my wife in Irvine, funny enough. She was living.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so you know the market a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. What you'll do is that I want you to think about Irvine being a part of your market, but I would at least go countywide, minimum countywide. Okay? There's just not enough product in a city. You know how fast you could call, even if it was 1,000 industrial buildings?
A couple days, maybe.
Right? Like exactly. Like a couple days, maybe a week. Right? I'm not saying you're going to speak to everybody, but it's going to be quick. Right? Yeah. So you got to expand your market, one. And two, I would also, very, very lucrative opportunity here, right? So if you just take, I'm going to walk you through this one, so I'm going to share my screen. So if you take Orange County as a whole, you can see here that there's 92,000, almost 93,000 properties. But the second I start making some adjustments, okay, and all we're going to do is we're going to go to property type, industrial. Okay. We're going to go to owner with a phone number, and then something that hasn't sold in the last 5 years, so you actually can consider selling it. You only got 2,500 properties here. And I haven't even started to sort by anything crazy. And it's like, if you look at what has sold within, not within, I apologize. So you have 10,000, which is much better. But look, this is what I want to show you. So sold within the last 12 months, only 430 industrial buildings sold in the last 12 months in your market. Last 2 years, 900, which basically means 955 properties or so are selling every year. Now, call it 450 properties are selling a year. Last 12 months has been a little bit under average. If you look at the last 5 years, you can see that a little over 500 properties per year are selling. That gives you your market right now. And you can see that you're a little bit slow right now. And that every quarter, you should be selling something like 100 to 125 properties a quarter. Right now, in the last 90 days, you're at only 75. So you're averaging 300 properties being sold in the next 12 months. So you can clearly see that things are slowing down a little bit, right? So it's like, okay, well, if we do not within the last 5 years, you have 10,000 industrial buildings. Now, let's actually look at stuff that probably we'll consider selling. Like obviously stuff that we're going to want to try to sell, which is like 5,000 feet to like 50,000 feet. This is like sub-institutional product. This is, like anything over 100,000 feet is probably going to get gobbled up by institutions. Like this is like mom and pop, clean, simple, everyday, all day stuff. I also would look at things that, let's say, originally didn't sell for over $10 million. Because if they sold for over 10 million, the odds of you selling it again, it's just, they overpaid once. Most people are not going to overpay again, especially in this market. So it's like, okay, your market right now is 2,800 properties. This is like, and then I still haven't sorted by much. What I would do here, and so this is your market. Now I'm going to show you how to prospect for buyers because this is the important piece. You're going to basically flip it backwards, right? So you're going to do sales within the last 2 years. You can ignore sales price because it doesn't matter. Building square footage we're going to keep. But what you're going to do is we're going to do person, okay, and properties in their portfolio at minimum 3. And then we're going to go to owners tab at the top. Now, what this is going to do is this is going to show you every single person that you should be best friends with. This literally just gives you every single person that you should be calling, that you should be connecting with, right? On a very regular basis. Every single one of these people, right? Because all these people own a bunch of properties in your market. And what you can even do here is you can sort sales within the last, I meant to say within the last 2 years, within the last 2 years. Here you go. So these are all very active buyers in your market. I apologize. Yeah, these are the active people. They all bought something within the last 2 years, last acquisition date, last 2 years. Pink is industrial, so you can see that their portfolios are mainly of, right? So these are going to be the people that, you got 3 lists of 100, you got 117 here, 114 owners. You should be calling every single one of these people and figure out, again, you want to have at least 10 of these people who are on your list. that you have their direct line, you have their email, and you have exactly what their criteria looks like. Because you can clearly see it's like, okay, well, somebody who owns 12 to freaking 94 industrial buildings, those people you want to know. These are going to be the people who you're obviously going to be trying to sell these buildings to, just in case your broker owner team leader doesn't want it. Now, this is what I'd say would be number one priority on your list right now. Pull this list, call this list. Because what you want is you want to call every single person on this list and say, hey, look, I work with XYZ Real Estate. I come across a lot of off-market properties that I think would meet your criteria. I know you own a bunch of stuff in XYZ, an XYZ area. I primarily focus in Orange County, as you own a lot in Orange County. And just curious if I was able to find a property similar to the one that you have if I could find a property similar to the one that you have on 5th Street or Coronado Street or whatever, right? If I can find a property similar to X, would you be totally against taking a look at it, right? No. I would love to take a look at it. Okay, great. Tell me more about what you're looking for. What's your square footage you look for? What's the ideal location for you? What's your ceiling heights? How do you need drive-ins, dock doors? What kind of power do you need? The whole nine. Do you need any excess land? Right? Are you occupying it? Are you investing it? Or are you treating it as an investment? And get as much information as you can. This way, when you find something, when you pull the other list we just talked about, I can just bring it to Bob. I can just bring it to Sal, whoever. Very simple. Because you need those buyers to allow you to burn and churn deals fast. Because the last thing you want to do is be in a position where a lot of people are. Let me go back to this list. Imagine you're prospecting really heavily, right? Not with property here. I would even say properties. I would start by calling a list that hasn't been sold in 20 years. When they last sold, they sold for sub 5 million. They sold for a great price per square foot, under 100 a foot. Let's see here. Industrial, 550,000 person. They can have way more than 3 properties in their portfolio. Let's actually say they can only have 2 properties in their portfolio. Sorry. They only have less than 2 properties in their portfolio because they're looking to sell stuff, not looking to buy stuff. Great. So you start with this list, 344 properties in all of Orange County. You start with this list. This is the prospecting list. You call this list, you get somebody on the phone, and then no one wants it. You got nobody to sell it to. So even if you had a hot lead, the problem is that a lot of people don't want to list it for sale. So who do you bring it to? Oh, well, now I got to go find a buyer. Well, the point of this game is you want to have hot buyers and hot sellers. Put them together and do some business. So that's the lead generation strategy. Now, keep in mind, you're going to do this from 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning until you have enough business. The first 90 days, I would overextend yourself on time. I would go bananas. I would go 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. Like whatever it takes, 6-7 days a week. I know whatever, if you're religious, take a day off or whatever it is, but I would just go balls to the wall, nonstop. Because the next 90 days will predict your next 5 years. Because the good part about it is this. If you can learn the discipline and really understand this strategy, where if you just came across, let's say, 10 good buyers over the next, let's say, next 2 weeks, all you're going to do is call buyers. Don't even worry about a fucking seller whatsoever. All you're going to do is call buyers. You're going to build that VIP buyers list, okay? You're going to get just 10 out of the 114 people on that list. Just 10. As soon as you got a good 10, stop calling buyers. I'm not saying you're never going to do it again, but you don't need to do it right now. You got your 10. You got all their criteria. You got their phone number, emails. You got everything. Maybe even met a few of them face-to-face. You don't have to overextend yourself on face-to-face meetings. If they're an unbelievable buyer, might be worth it. If this guy owns 95 properties and buys 10 properties a year, meet the fucking guy.
Absolutely.
If the guy bought 1 property in the last 2 years and owns 4 properties, you don't have to meet him. It's just not a necessary thing. But depending on your scale, you can spend the time to do so. It's not a requirement. Now, you got your 10 guys, and then you're just going to start ripping phones. And all you're going to think about, because obviously you're doing well on the leasing side, is you call them up about a sale, right? Or you call them up about a leasing. You have your main priority focus. And all you're going to master is the art of the pivot. And you're just going to pivot in your conversation. So you call somebody up, just like we do. We just go sale first. That's our priority, right? Would you be totally against selling the property? Right? They say, I'm not interested in selling. Okay, I can completely appreciate it. Completely appreciate that. Just curious, is your building 100% occupied? No, it's not. We're actually looking for a tenant. Okay, great. Would you be totally against having us market the property for lease to try to get you to 100% occupancy so we can raise the income of your property and raise the value? No, I'm interested. Great. Sign a listing agreement. Bing, bing, bing. Right? It doesn't have to be complicated. Yeah. But I don't need to be calling them for a lease in order to get a lease. I don't have to call them for a sale in order to make a sale. And it's in that pivot where you can actually find the opportunity, because not every person's looking to sell and not everyone's looking to lease. Okay. And it's figuring out, where does this person, they go in a bucket. What bucket do they go in? And that's your lead gen strategy for now, for literally the next 90 days. You don't think about anything else. Don't try to do this. Don't try to do that. Nothing else, right? Just this strategy, run it. Now, what's going to happen in 90 days, right, is that all I want you to realize is that in 90 days, like, you are going to be the one who just gets infinitely better as the call goes, and they don't want to sell, and they don't want to lease. Great. Tell me about, just out of curiosity, I saw you bought this property 5 years ago, right? Are you in the business of possibly buying another property if you came across it, right? And you pivot to now a buyer call. So now you go sale, lease, buyer, right? Now what happens is that every single time you're calling your seller list, right, to try to generate some seller opportunities, you also have the ability to pivot to generating another buyer lead. And eventually the game plan is that in 90 days, you get so good at this, every day you generate one good seller lead, maybe one decent lease lead, right? And then one decent buyer lead every day. And now, again, not everything works out, right? Not every lead's going to be amazing. But the point is that if you generated 30 seller leads, 30 lease leads, and 30 buyer leads a month, something's going to transact.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It's going to be great.
But it's like, it doesn't have to be complicated. And if you just did that for the next 20 years, you'll be a rich man. Great. Next. Time management. Quick schedule. I'm just like, you're going to hear me say the same fucking schedule. I've already said 1,000 times on YouTube. First 15 to 30 minutes. Let's start off with this. When do you get to the office?
Probably around 8, I'd say.
Okay, great. Your first 15 to 30 minutes when you actually can like sit at your desk and you're working, not like, putting your shit down or whatever. Let's say 8:30, you do a company meeting by yourself. You review everything you need to do today. You write down any red flags. These are people that like the deal's going to blow up if you don't fucking call them, an email you got to send out, whatever. You have until 9 o'clock in the morning to handle 100% of your red flags, to handle 100% of your to-do list. You have literally until 9 o'clock to handle all this shit. Now, they might not answer you, but you called them. And then what's going to happen is at 9 o'clock, you get on the phones. And then you don't stop making calls until you did your job, right? Okay. Which in this case, for the next 2 weeks is generating, you need to try to generate 10 of these decent opportunities, 10 buyers, great buyers. And the faster you can do that, the faster you can get to prospecting for sellers. But this way, you got to build a foundation first. Now, people are going to argue and say, okay, well, Henry, I got to go tour properties and go call these other leads. Great. You're going to call from 9 a.m. to at least 1 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and all of your tours and everything else you have to do have to be after 2 o'clock.
And then do the tours after.
Do it tours
2 p.m.
Correct. Blame the landlord. They had other tours. We can't go yet. Mm-hmm. But blame it on everything else because you have to do that foundational work so that eventually you can pivot in your business. You know what I mean?
Yep. I gotcha.
Eventually, what will happen is that you'll probably do it from 9 to 1. 1 o'clock, you just start doing follow-up. By 2 o'clock, you start calling your buyers and you start pitching the deals that you generated, the seller opportunities that you generated from that day, and you try to put deals together all day long, right? And then you do your tours late in the day. Next, learning the business and learning the market. Best way to do it is either watching my content, obviously asking 1,000 questions on the trainings, watching past trainings. And I would also look up a fucking ton of reports. Read reports. Read data. Go on CoStar.
Just market reports.
Yeah. Read all of it. Everything for your county, anything for your town. Understand the absorption rates, understanding the price per square foot, where they sold, why they sold for those price per square foot. Oh, something sold for 180 foot down the block. You think in your head that's a fucking crazy price per square foot. How did it up? Well, it was fire damage. Oh, they had environmental issues. Oh, they had all these whatever. Down the street, similar property sold for 350 a foot. All Class A, gorgeous, completely redone, amazing. Owner, occupant, investor. Owner, occupant, not an investor. It was 30-foot ceilings, 8 docks. All everything was exactly as neat. And then, down the street, something else sold for 250 a foot, middle of the range, CB class property. It was an investor who bought it. They bought it at a day 1.7.5 cap. You start learning these nuances. And you're like, oh, okay, got it. When something that you get on the phone and they go, hey, I want 400 a foot, and you see it's a B class or B or C class product, needs some work, and it's probably going to be an investor who buys it because it's got multiple tenants in it. What are you going to be thinking in your head?
Well, that one just sold 400, or that's listed 400, but the B one just sold for 250 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like it's overpriced.
Yeah,
overpriced. So it's like, in your mind, now that you're on the call and you've been studying your reports and you know what's sold and why it's sold for those things, now you're like, when you're on that call, you're like, okay, that's interesting. How did you come up with that number? Right? And you can, and then you can talk and sound so confident, even though you didn't have to have sold any of it. So, that's interesting. You know that 123 Main Street just sold for X, price per square foot, exact type of property, just like yours, multiple tenancy, whatever. Just curious, why do you think yours is worth 80% more money? And that was actually 80,000 feet, and yours is 40,000 feet. But like, you can't talk like that with that level of confidence unless you start really looking at the data, right?
Let's look in the markets.
Fucking ton of real estate.
Otherwise, you're just talking out of your ass.
Exactly. Right. So, and look, you can make up for experience with expertise. You can make up for experience of closing a lot of deals for expertise in studying the markets. You can sound identical to people who have sold hundreds of commercial properties in your market just by studying what they've sold. You can sound just as confident.